My child, these changing winds, these invisible burdens, these mounting anxieties, they're all just fleeting shadows as you walk in my light. Look forward, keep your eyes lifted, because I'm preparing a path for you that's free from striving, a way overflowing with blessings in life. But to step into that, you must listen and follow this. How long have you been weary? How many days have you opened your eyes with a heavy heart? How many nights have you tossed and turned, worrying about tomorrow? How many times have you tried, only to watch things slip through your fingers? You carry these burdens on your shoulders, navigating through uncertain days, feeling like no one understands, no one truly sees you. But I understand. I see. I've been there in every drop of your sweat, in every tired breath, in every dream unrealized. I've been waiting for you to turn back to me, so I can show you how to walk without this struggle. You've taken paths without me beside you, and you've seen how difficult they are. You've made decisions on your own, and you've witnessed the consequences. But today, hear my voice, because I have something to teach you. If you follow it, you won't have to struggle anymore. It's not a path of your own choosing, but one I've already set. It's not your own will, but my will, a will that is perfect, good, and pleasing to me. Do you remember what I said? Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Do you understand these words? Have you ever deeply considered them? Or are you still trying to carry burdens that aren't yours to bear? I didn't create you to live in anxiety, fear, and exhaustion. I created you to be free, to walk in my grace and power. But you must learn something important. You can't do it on your own. If you continue to rely on your own strength, if you continue to follow your own way, you'll continue to struggle. But if you entrust everything to me, if you put your faith in me, if you learn to obey me, you'll step into a lightness you've never known before. So what must you do? What will free you from this struggle? It's complete surrender. You must release control. You must learn to trust me completely. You can't walk with me while still clinging to things of your own. If you want to enter the rest I've promised, you must learn to let go of yourself. When I was on earth, I also chose to surrender to my Father. I could have chosen a different path, but I said, Father, not my will, but your will be done. And through that obedience, the plan of redemption was fulfilled. If I surrendered, then you must also learn to surrender. If I put my Father's will above all else, then you must also put my will above all else. Are you ready to let go? Are you ready to let me lead you? I'm not saying you'll never face trials, but I promise you won't have to struggle alone anymore. You won't have to fight battles that are beyond your reach. You won't have to worry, because I'll act on your behalf. Let me guide you. Let me into your plans. Don't carry this alone anymore. Don't resist my leading. I'm calling you to release the things that are holding you back. I'm calling you to place your faith where it belongs, in me. If you do, you won't have to struggle anymore. You'll see me open doors for you. You'll see me work in your life in ways that surpass your understanding. I'm speaking to you right now. Are you ready to step into the new thing I have for you? Take my hand, and you'll see blessings pour out like a living stream. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to never struggle? Why some people can weather any storm without flinching? While you're struggling with every step, are they stronger than you? Do they have some secret you don't know? My child, the difference isn't in strength or talent. The difference is in who is holding their hand. If you let me lead, you won't have to struggle anymore. But if you choose to row your own boat, you'll continue to be battered by the waves of this world. Have you ever seen a little bird in a storm? It doesn't fight the wind. It doesn't try to fly against the gale. It simply spreads its wings and lets the wind lift it higher. And that very storm, which seemed so frightening, carries it to where it needs to be. That's what I want you to understand. Your life isn't meant to be a never-ending battle. You don't have to strive in vain. You only need to learn to fly in my guidance. And I'll turn even the storms in your life into vehicles to carry you to where you belong. There are things you're doing that you think are important. You believe that if you don't put in the effort, If you don't fight, you'll be left behind. But you forget that I am the one who opens doors. I am the one who lifts you up. If you keep yourself busy with things that don't matter, if you keep trying to control everything according to your own will, you'll always feel exhausted. But if you're willing to release the things that aren't yours to carry, if you let me do my work, you'll see how light everything becomes. Do you know why your heart is always heavy? Because you haven't truly learned to rest in me. Resting doesn't mean stopping. It doesn't mean being passive or giving up on everything. Resting means learning to trust, learning to surrender, learning to walk without being bound by anxiety. When you know that I'm in control of everything, when you believe that I won't let you get lost, when you understand that I have plans for you that are better than anything you can imagine, then even when you're working, your heart can still have peace. Even when you're going through trials, you can still have a strength that doesn't come from yourself. Look back at your life. How many times have you been exhausted from trying to please others? How many times have you worried about things you couldn't control? How many times have you felt lonely, even when you were surrounded by people? Do you know why? Because you haven't truly let me be Lord of your life. You believe in me, but you still hold back a part of yourself. You want me to help you, but you're not willing to let me lead you completely. You want an easy path, but you're not willing to let go of the things that are causing you to struggle. Let me ask you this. If you knew there was a door that opened to an easier, better path, would you step through it? If you knew there was a way where you no longer had to worry, no longer had to strain to control everything, would you choose it? If I told you that all you had to do was put everything in my hands, all you had to do was trust completely, and you would step into a life where you no longer had to struggle, would you dare to believe it? Because that's exactly what I'm telling you right now. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to know what tomorrow will bring. You only need to follow me one step at a time, and I'll take care of everything else. When you learn this, you'll see doors open easily. Things you once thought were impossible suddenly become possible. Burdens you once carried become light as a feather. It's not because you're stronger, but because you've let me carry them for you. It's not because you're working less, but because you're doing exactly what I want you to do. It's not because you're luckier, but because you're walking on my path. You weren't born to struggle. You were born to live in grace, but you must choose to step into that. I won't force you. I won't drag you in if you're not ready. But if you're tired, if you're weary of everything you're trying to do in your own strength, then come to me. Let me show you how to live a life that's lighter, more peaceful, and more blessed. And you'll see, you won't have to struggle anymore. Have you ever wondered why life is sometimes so hard? You look around and see others seemingly moving forward while you're stuck in place. You've tried, you've strived, you've done everything you can, but you still can't escape the cycle of weariness, disappointment, and uncertainty. You think you're not good enough, not hardworking enough, not persistent enough, so you continue to force yourself into heavy constraints. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself if you're going in the wrong direction? If you're using the wrong methods? If you're carrying burdens that I never wanted you to bear? You're still exchanging your strength, your time, and your peace for things you think are necessary. But are you sure all of those things really matter? What if I told you that you didn't have to struggle so much, that you didn't have to live in such a weary, struggling state, that you could live a different life, a life that wasn't weighed down by pressure, that didn't have to scramble to find direction, that didn't have to fear the future? I want you to understand that struggling isn't what I intended for you. From the moment you were born, I placed within you a purpose, a good plan. But instead of walking in that plan, you chose to follow what you thought was right. You put your faith in things that are uncertain. You chase after what the world tells you to pursue. And the further you go, the more lost you feel. The more you try, the more disappointed you become. Look at how I created this universe. The sun doesn't have to worry about whether it will rise tomorrow. The rivers aren't concerned about whether the water will continue to flow. Everything operates according to the laws I've established. But what about you? You keep chasing your own plans. Keep trying to control everything according to your own will. And that's what makes you struggle. You must learn to trust, learn to walk in my guidance. I've already prepared the path for you. But do you dare to release what you're holding onto to step onto that path? Do you dare to place everything in my hands and let me direct you? What I require of you isn't a blind effort, isn't a relentless labor, but obedience. When you obey me, you'll see that everything becomes lighter. You won't have to wrestle with things that don't belong to you. You won't have to be tired of what I don't want you to carry. You'll no longer feel like you're walking alone in the dark, because I'll be the light to guide your way. Think about this. If you knew there was a way where you no longer had to be anxious, no longer had to be weary, would you want to walk it? If you knew there was a way of life where you were no longer weighed down by pressure, no longer had to compete with things that are fleeting, would you be willing to change? If I told you that all you had to do was put me above all else, and everything else would naturally come to you in the best way, would you dare to believe it? This world always teaches you that you have to earn everything yourself, that you have to fight to get what you want. But I tell you of a different way, the way of trust. When you put me at the center of your life, you'll see that everything you need is already available. You won't have to scramble to seek acceptance from others because you're already loved by me. You won't have to chase after the standards of the world because you've been chosen according to my plan. You won't have to live in anxiety because I've already arranged everything good for you. So, don't make yourself struggle anymore. Don't try to carry things that don't belong to you. Don't let the fears and pressures of this world make you forget that you have me. You only need to do one thing. Put me above all else, trust in me, and walk according to my guidance. When you do that, you'll see everything change. You'll see the things you once thought were difficult become easy. You'll see the roads that seemed blocked suddenly open before your eyes. You'll see that you no longer have to struggle, because I've gone before you, preparing the way for you and bringing you to where you need to be. Have you ever wondered why sometimes your efforts don't seem to bring the results you hope for? Why do you keep running but never reach the finish line? Why do you keep trying but still feel empty and weary? It's because you're carrying burdens that you shouldn't be carrying. You put all your attention on what the world teaches you to pursue, but you forget that there's another way, a path where you don't have to flounder in vain. The world teaches you that success is something you create on your own, that you have to fight, have to compete, have to prove yourself to be recognized. But don't you see? Those things only make you more exhausted, more confused, more anxious. Everything you try to build with your own strength can collapse at any moment. But if you put your foundation in me, you'll never be shaken. If you let me be your guide, you'll never go astray. If you learn to surrender everything to me, you'll never have to struggle again. Do you know why many people spend their whole lives seeking satisfaction but never find enough? Because they've been looking in the wrong places. They believe that money, fame, power can bring them happiness. But then when they achieve all of that, they still feel empty. They still feel a void in their soul that hasn't been filled. It's the same with you. If you keep seeking satisfaction in things that don't belong to me, you'll never feel enough. But if you seek me, you'll see that everything you need is already available. I don't want you to live in constant busyness without purpose. I don't want you to keep spinning around in the worries of this world and forget the most important thing. What I want is for you to learn to put your trust in me, learn to walk according to my guidance. When you put me above all else, you'll see that everything else will automatically be arranged in the best way. You won't have to compete with time. You won't have to worry about the future. You won't have to try to control everything on your own, because I'll take care of everything for you. Do you know why sometimes you feel trapped? Why, no matter how hard you try, you can't go any further? It's because you're trying with your own strength and not letting me intervene. You set your own plans, decide your own path, draw your own direction. But you don't ask if that's my plan for you. When you act according to your own, without walking in my plan, you'll always encounter obstacles, walls blocking your way. But if you let me be your guide, you won't encounter those obstacles anymore. Have you ever seen a river flow? It doesn't need to strive, doesn't need to struggle to find its way, because the flow has already been determined. It just flows naturally, following the path that's already there, and it always reaches where it needs to be. It's the same with you. If you let me lead, you won't have to strive wearily anymore. You just need to walk on the path I've already prepared for you, and you'll reach where you need to be without struggling like before. Think of a child holding their father's hand as they walk through a crowded street. The child doesn't need to worry, doesn't need to be afraid, doesn't need to find their own way, because they know that their Father's hand will lead them in the right direction. They just need to walk without any doubt or anxiety. It's the same with you. If you know to take my hand and let me lead you, you won't need to be afraid of the future. You won't need to worry about tomorrow. You won't need to be tired of things you can't control. Because I'll go before you, will protect you, will guide you step by step. But do you dare to release? Do you dare to put down the burdens you're carrying? Do you dare to give up your own plans to follow my plan? This is a decision only you can make. If you continue to try with your own strength, you'll still be weary. If you continue to try to control everything, you'll still be anxious. But if you learn to entrust everything into my hands, you'll see a freedom you've never known before. A peace that this world can't give. A life where you no longer have to struggle, because I'll be the one who takes care of everything for you. Have you ever seen a bird soaring through the vast sky? It doesn't worry about tomorrow, doesn't fear what's ahead, because it knows that the wings have been given to it to fly, and the sky is where it belongs. It's the same with you. You weren't born to live in constant burdens, not to be chained by the anxieties and pressures of this world. But why do you still feel like you're stuck? Why do you sometimes feel like you're being pulled down, unable to take flight? Because you're trying to hold on to things that don't belong to you. The burdens that you think are necessary are actually the chains that are holding you back. The ambitions you chase, the fears you embrace, the pressures you put on yourself. They'll find it easier. I don't want you to live a life where you have to struggle with every step. I don't want you to keep fighting with yourself. You weren't born to fight alone. I'm here, ready to lift you up, ready to give you a path where you no longer have to struggle. But do you dare to let me lead? Many people believe that they have to have everything in hand, have to arrange everything themselves, have to calculate every step in order to succeed. But they don't realize that the more they try to control, the more they lose control. The more they worry about what's ahead, the more they get stuck in what's behind. You don't need to live like that. I don't want you to live like that. I want you to walk with freedom, with a peaceful heart, not being bound by things that aren't worthy. Look back at the times you've worried about something in the past, the nights you lost sleep over fears, the days you were discouraged by things you couldn't change. Now, how much of those worries actually happened? And if they did happen, didn't I still bring you through? Don't you see? What you worried about, what you feared, ultimately couldn't change anything. You just made yourself tired. Let me teach you how to live without struggling anymore. It's not a life without trials, without hardship, but it's a life where you know for sure that no matter what happens, you won't be defeated. It's a life where you no longer have to struggle with everything yourself, because you know I'm always going before you. It's a life where you can walk in peace, not being swayed by the things around you, not being swept up in the anxieties of the world. But this requires you to trust. You can't walk in my guidance if you're still doubting. You can't receive the peace I give if you're still holding onto the fears in your heart. Look at the things you're clinging to. Is anything in there really worth exchanging your peace for? Is anything in there really worth struggling your whole life for? If not, let me help you release them. Have you ever seen a child sleeping peacefully in a parent's arms? They aren't worried about tomorrow or thinking about what's going to happen, because they know they're loved and protected. It's the same with you. If you truly knew how much I love you, if you really believe that I'm taking care of you, you wouldn't be so anxious. When you realize that I have the best plans for you, you won't be afraid of the future. When you know that I'll never leave you alone, you won't feel like you have to carry everything yourself. So, are you ready to let me guide you? Are you ready to let go of your old ways of living, your old ways of thinking, and step into a new life? A life where you're not struggling over pointless things? Are you ready for me to take the burdens off your shoulders so you can walk lightly, freely, and full of life? If so, let me lead you. I've already prepared a path where you don't have to struggle anymore. You know, a lot of people keep looking for an easier road, a path without challenges or pain. But they forget that the meaning of life isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about learning how to overcome it without being drowned by it. I never promised you that the world wouldn't have storms. But I always want you to understand that no matter how big the waves get, you won't sink if you hold on to my hand. The question is, do you dare to believe it? Or are you still skeptical? Still wanting to control everything yourself? Have you ever wondered why some people are always full of life, always steady in the middle of life's changes? It's not because they have fewer challenges than you, or because their lives are easier. It's because they know where to put their trust. They understand that if they keep chasing their worries, keep trying to control things that are out of their reach, they'll just get more and more tired. But when they learn to give it all over to me, when they stop fighting themselves and start letting me lead, that's when they're truly free. Have you ever watched a river? When it flows in its natural direction, it doesn't have to struggle or strain. It just lets the water carry it along the path that's already been laid out. But if you try to block it, try to push it upstream, you're fighting nature itself. Your life is like that too. If you keep tensing up, trying to control everything, keep worrying about what you can't change, you're just wearing yourself out. But when you learn to live in harmony with my guidance, when you stop resisting and let me do my work, you'll see that everything gets easier. Some people live their whole lives worrying just because they don't know how to let go. They're afraid of losing what they have, afraid that if they don't hold on tight to everything themselves, it'll all fall apart. But they don't realize that it's that very fear that's making them lose their peace. If you keep your fist clenched tight, you can't receive anything new. But if you dare to open your hand, dare to let me put something better into it, you'll receive things beyond your wildest expectations. Have you ever felt tired of always chasing other people's expectations? Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you can never please everyone? That's because you weren't born to live by the world's standards. You don't need to prove your worth in front of people, because in my eyes, you already have value. You don't need to throw yourself into the world's endless race, because you weren't created to live such a stressful life. I want you to understand that your value isn't in what you accomplish, isn't in the successes that the world recognizes. Your value is in you, in who you are in my eyes. When you start looking at life through my lens, you'll realize that a lot of things you used to think were important really aren't worth trading your peace for. The judgments of other people, the pressures of society, the standards you thought you had to meet, all those things will no longer have power over you. Some people spend their whole lives just trying to get acceptance from others. They try to please everyone, try to prove themselves, but in the end, they still feel empty. That's because people can never fill the empty space in your soul. Only I could do that. When you stop seeking acceptance from the world and start seeking me, you'll see that you were loved from the start. You were accepted even before you try to do anything. So, are you ready to live a life that's not a constant struggle anymore? Not because you won't face challenges, but because you know that no matter what happens, you have me by your side. Are you ready to step out of your worries and into the peace that I've already set aside for you? If so, let me teach you. Let me lead you into a new journey where you don't have to strain to prove yourself, don't have to chase after things that don't matter, but simply live in the freedom and love that I've prepared for you. Have you ever wondered why some people maintain their peace even when they're facing a lot of storms? It's not because they're luckier than you, and it's not because they have fewer challenges. It's because they understand something important. Everything in this life has a meaning, even things that seem illogical. You might be going through a difficult time right now. You might not understand why things aren't going the way you want. But remember that nothing happens without a reason. What you think is a failure might be a door opening to a better path. What you think is a loss might be a way for you to be freed from things that aren't right for you anymore. I've seen a lot of people stumble because they don't understand this principle. They keep clinging to old things, to relationships that have ruined them, to dreams that don't fit the path I've laid out for them anymore. They don't dare to let go, only to realize later that it was actually a liberation. How many times did you think you were failing, but then later you realized that without those failures, you would never have gotten such valuable lessons? Do you know, sometimes I have to let some doors close, because if you keep standing there trying to keep them open, you'll never see the new doors that I've prepared for you. I don't want you to keep stuck in place, keep living in things that don't belong to you anymore. I want you to move forward. I want you to powerfully step into greater things, but to do that, you have to have enough faith to let go of the past. Have you ever noticed that the tighter you hold on to something, the more pressure you feel? When you keep trying to control everything according to your will, you only make yourself more stressed. But when you learn to let me lead, when you no longer resist what's happening, you'll see that everything becomes much easier. I'm not telling you to be passive. I'm not telling you to just sit still and wait. But I want you to understand that there are things that are beyond your control. There are things you can't change. And the best thing you can do is let me handle them for you. Have you ever seen a child trying to tie their own shoelaces? They keep struggling and trying but still can't do it. While if they just let their parents help, everything would be so much simpler. But because of their ego, because they want to do everything their own way, they keep struggling without realizing that they can have an easier way. You're the same way. You keep managing on your own. Keep trying to solve every problem yourself without realizing that I'm always ready to help you. Just let go of your ego. Just allow me to intervene and everything will change. But I know that's not easy. I know you're used to relying on yourself, used to thinking that you have to manage everything on your own. But try stopping once. Try letting me show you the better way. Try believing for once that you don't have to do everything alone, that there's someone who always goes with you, always watches over you, always waits to help you overcome every difficulty. You might be feeling tired. You might be feeling exhausted from having to carry too many things on your shoulders, but I want you to remember that you weren't created to live in such stress. You were created to live in freedom, in joy, in peace. The pressures of this world aren't something I want you to carry for life. The worries you're carrying, the fears that are weighing you down, all those things don't belong to you. Give them to me. Let me take that burden for you. I know there are days when you feel like no one understands you, like you're facing everything alone, but no, you're never alone. I'm always here, always waiting for you to come back to me, for you to realize that you don't have to fight alone. If you could see me, if you could hear my voice, you'd know that I'm still always with you, still always supporting you, still always watching over every step you take. So, are you ready to let go of your burdens? Are you ready to let me lead you into a new journey where there are no unnecessary pressures, no pointless fears, but only true peace? If you're ready, let me step into your life. Let me show you that everything I do is for you, that you don't have to struggle anymore, because I've already prepared all the best things for you. I see there are still some hesitations in you. I understand that you're used to your own way of thinking, that you're afraid that if you let go, everything will become out of control. But think, are what you're doing really helping you move forward? Or are they just making you more exhausted? Do you see yourself running in an endless loop, trying and trying, but still not finding a way out? That's because you haven't truly let me be in charge of your life. I want you to remember that what you're facing isn't random, and it's not things that are happening without meaning. Every moment in your life has a reason. The suffering you're going through isn't to make you give up, but to train you to become stronger. The waiting you're enduring isn't pointless, but to teach you patience, to teach you how to trust in the perfect time that I've set. But do you know what makes a lot of people never step out of their cycles of suffering? It's because they don't dare to change their way of thinking. They keep holding on to old beliefs, old ways of living, old perspectives, and then they wonder why their life is still the same, why they still have to face the same old challenges over and over again. Have you ever thought that maybe your way of thinking is the reason you haven't been able to step into a new phase of your life? There are people who live in resentment, always thinking they're victims of circumstance, that this world is too unfair to them. But look at those with a different mindset, those who are always grateful, always find something good even in challenges. They face difficulties too, but they don't let the difficulties define them. They understand that every challenge is a lesson, is an opportunity for them to grow, for them to become a better version of themselves. And so, they have the peace that others don't. I want you to understand that peace isn't when everything in your life is perfect, but when you can stand firm even in the middle of storms. Peace isn't not having problems, but knowing how to face everything with faith and stability. And you won't be able to have that peace if you keep clinging to your worries, your fears, your own calculations. Have you ever wondered why some people always exude serenity, even if they don't have anything too special materially? They're not the richest people. And they're not the people with the fewest problems, but they have something that not everyone has: surrender. They know that they can't control everything, and they don't need to either. They believe that there's a bigger plan for them, and it's that belief that has freed them from unnecessary worries. Are you ready to live such a life? A life where you're no longer caught up in stress, no longer have to worry about tomorrow, no longer have to tense up to fight everything? I'm not saying you won't have challenges, but I promise that if you let me lead, you'll never have to walk alone. You won't feel empty even when you're in the middle of a crowd. You won't feel lost even when life goes on. Let me change the way you see things. Let me show you that everything you're facing is just a small part of the big picture that I've already painted for you. Let me help you step out of the chains of worry, of fear, of old hurts. Let me heal you, renew you, bring you into a journey where you don't just exist, but you truly live. Have you ever felt that this life is like an endless race, where you have to keep running, keep trying, but never really feel like it's enough? Maybe you think that when you achieve this, when you get that, you'll be happy. But then when you reach for it, you feel emptier than ever. I see you're frantically looking for something that you can't even name. You think that if you have more money, fame, people's love, you'll feel filled, but realize that those things only bring you temporary joy, and then you continue to see lack, and continue to see a void that cannot be filled. I want you to know that you weren't created to chase fleeting things, to seek satisfaction in what is short-lived. You were not born to try to please everyone, to live up to the expectations of the world, to turn your life into a series of achievements that ultimately do not bring any real meaning at all. You were created with a purpose greater, one that only when you let me lead can you truly understand. I know there are times when you feel stuck between expectations and fears. You fear that if you are not good enough, not successful enough, not good enough, you will be left behind. You fear that if you do not meet the expectations of others, you will be forgotten. But child, you do not have to prove your worth to anyone. You don't have to live in the anxiety that you are not enough. I created you to become who you need to be. You do not have to strive for recognition because I have seen you, know you, and loved you even before you knew you were there. Let me ask you this: what really gives meaning to your life? Are the successes you trade for peace? Are the relationships you keep chasing but never really feel complete? Are the dreams you think you'll be happy when you achieve them, but when you touch them, you feel emptier than ever? I want you to understand that nothing in this world can fill the emptiness in your heart except me. You may be trying to control everything, worrying about the future, agonizing over things that have not happened, but you do not realize that worry is taking away the joy in your present. Why do you keep living in what-ifs, in scenarios that you imagine in your head, in non-existent fears, and then you let those things bind you, prevent you from enjoying every moment you have? I don't want you to keep living like that. I want you to learn to let go of the things you can't control. I want you to learn to trust that even if you don't see the road ahead, I'm still clearing the way for you. I want you to know that even if you feel like you're lost, I'm still leading you to the right place that you need to be. There are things that you will never understand when you only look with the eyes of the flesh. There are plans that you cannot foresee, but I see. There are doors that you think have closed forever, but I can open. There are wounds that you think you will never heal from, but I can heal. You don't have to carry all the burdens alone. You don't have to strive to control everything. You just have to let me do it for you. How much time have you spent seeking acceptance from others? How many times have you felt like you were not good enough because you compared yourself to those around you? How many times have you blamed yourself for things that you cannot change? I want you to stop. Stop to realize that you don't have to chase anyone. Stop to remember that you're not defined by what you achieve, but by the love I have for you. I don't want you to live a temporary life, passing through each day without meaning. I don't want you to just merely exist, but I want you to truly live, to truly feel the freedom, the peace, the joy that you deserve to have. But you can only receive that when you let go of the burdens in your heart, when you stop trying alone, when you decide to let me lead you. Let me remind you again. You are not alone. You don't have to find your own way. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to rely on me to do the rest. And when you do that, you will see that the things you have been worrying about are not worth your effort. You will see that life has much more meaning when you put it in my hands. Have you ever wondered why some days you feel full of hope, but also some days you feel like your heart is heavy, as if there is an invisible darkness weighing down on your soul? Do you feel like sometimes you're trying but you don't see results? You're moving forward but you don't know where you are really going? I see you in those moments. Those times when you're tired of trying to be strong, when you tell yourself that you are okay, but in your heart there are thousands of questions. You wonder if I am really with you? Will I hear your prayers? Am I working in your life? Child, don't let what you see in the present make you doubt my plan. Don't let the difficulties you face make you think you're alone. Don't let the times you wait without seeing an answer make you lose your trust in me. You may not see the road clearly, but I am guiding you step by step. You may not understand why things happen like that, but I am arranging everything according to my perfect timing. I want you to remember that the trials are not the end, but are only part of the journey you go. Sometimes I let you go through waiting so you can learn patience. Sometimes I let you face trials so you can learn to trust. Sometimes I let you feel empty so you can understand that only I can fill you. There are things you have prayed for but have not received. Have you ever thought that maybe I am protecting you from something that you have not seen? There are doors you want to open but are still closed. Have you ever thought that maybe I am holding you back to wait for a better door to open? You often want things to happen in your way, in a time you expect, but you don't know that I see things that you can't see. I know what is best for you even when you don't realize it. Look back on the past. Those times when you thought you couldn't overcome, but then you still stood firm. It wasn't because you did it yourself, but because I supported you. The times you thought you had lost everything, but then I gave you a new way. The times you felt abandoned, but then I used those moments to teach you that you are never alone. I want you to stop looking at what you lack, but to look at what you have. Stop comparing yourself to others, but cherish what I have put in your life. Stop chasing the things that you think will make you happy, but let me be your joy. You don't have to prove your worth to the world because in my eyes you have been worth it since before you were born. You don't have to worry about the future. You don't have to live in fear of tomorrow. You don't have to control everything. I have a plan for you, and that plan is better than anything you can imagine. You just need to trust. Just need to let me guide you. Just need to let me step into your life and do miracles. There are seasons in your life when you will feel like you are walking in the dark. But remember that darkness does not last forever. Dawn will come. And when my light shines on you, you will see more clearly all that I have prepared for you. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep holding on to your faith because I have never given up on you, and I will never do that. Do you know that every breath you take is not accidental? Every heartbeat, every moment you experience in this world is within my plan. Nothing happens in your life that is meaningless, even the things you don't understand, even the trials you think you can't overcome. You don't have to have all the answers right now, because I am the one who holds them all. There are things that you can't see now, but someday, when you look back, you will realize that I have always been with you even in the darkest moments. Have you ever wondered why sometimes you feel empty even though you have everything that others desire? Maybe you have achieved success, you have acquired the things you once wanted, but your heart still can't find peace. That's because nothing in this world can fill the space that only I can fill. You may chase after fame, money, status, but you will never feel complete if you don't let me be the center of your life. You may try to please everyone, but in the end you still feel lost if you don't live according to the plan that I have planned for you. There are days when you feel like you're not good enough, as if you will never achieve the standards that the world sets. You compare yourself to others. You feel small. You feel unworthy. But do you know that in my eyes, you don't have to prove anything? I don't look at you the way the world looks. I don't judge you based on success or failure. I don't love you any less just because you make mistakes. My love for you does not depend on what you do, but because you belong to me. You once had dreams, but because of the stumbles you gave up. You once had aspirations, but because of the injuries you retracted. You are afraid of failure, afraid of being rejected, afraid of being hurt again. But child, don't let fear stop you from the things I have prepared for you. If you keep living in the comfort zone, you will never know how high you can fly. If you keep letting the past bind you, you will never see the future that I have arranged. I know you have been hurt, have been betrayed, have put your trust in the wrong place. I know you have cried silently in the dark nights, have felt like the whole world has turned its back on you. But let me tell you this. What has passed does not define you. Your past does not have the right to determine your future. Your injuries are not the end, but are only part of the journey that I am using to turn you into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient person. You cannot change what has happened, but you can choose how you react to it. You can let the injuries turn you into a bitter person, or you can let them teach you compassion. You can let the failures make you give up, or you can let them become the motivation for you to stand up and move on. You can let the negative words of others make you lose your faith in yourself, or you can listen to my voice, who says that you are wonderfully made and have immense value. Don't wait for one day to start living the life I have destined for you. Don't wait until everything is perfect, because that day will never come. Don't wait until you feel ready, because sometimes you have to walk by faith before you see the road open. Live now, trust now. Put your hand in my hand now, because I have never left you, and I will continue to be with you every day, every minute, every second. Do you know that nothing in your life happens without a reason? There are moments when you think that everything is collapsing, that you are losing too much, but in fact, that is when I am building something new for you. There are doors that close not to punish you, but to protect you from what you cannot see. There are roads that seem full of difficulties, but are the only road that leads you to the fulfillment that I have prepared. You cannot understand everything right now, but one day when you look back, you will see that every event, every encounter, every event that happens has an important place in the big picture that I'm drawing for your life. Maybe you feel left behind when you see others achieving the things you once wished for. They may be successful, happy, and have the things you desire. But each person's journey is different. You cannot compare chapter 2 in your life with chapter 10 in someone else's life. What I am doing for you may not be happening the way you expect, but it is always on time. There are things you ask for that I have not given, not because I did not hear, but because I am preparing something better. You may not see, but I'm still acting. When you think that everything is delayed, in fact, I am working silently to arrange everything perfectly. How many times have you asked yourself if you are strong enough to overcome the challenges in life? How many times have you felt like you can't go on anymore? There are days when you're so tired that you want to give up everything. But you are still here, still fighting, still walking. That is because I have put in you a strength that you have not realized. That strength does not come from you, but from my presence in you. Every time you think you can't take it anymore, remember that I am your refuge. You don't have to carry everything yourself. You don't have to fight alone. The trials you are facing are not to defeat you, but to train you. Just as gold must go through fire to become pure, you must also go through trials to become a stronger and wiser person. Don't be afraid of what you're going through right now, because I'm using it to take you to a whole new level. Don't let the hurts of the past hold you back, because I'm doing something brand new in your life. I don't want you to live stuck in regret or self-blame. You can't change what's already happened, but you can decide how you move forward. Trust that I'm holding everything in my hands. Even when you don't understand, even when you can't see it, even when you feel lost, just keep walking in faith, because I've never given up on you and I'll never leave you. Have you ever noticed how your life is like a river? Some days the flow is smooth, but other days the water's raging, pulling away things you used to hold on to. Sometimes you feel like you're drifting without knowing where you're headed. But listen, you're not lost. I'm the one steering the boat of your life. The waves might scare you, but if you trust in me, you'll realize I'll never let you sink. What you think is chaos is really just part of the journey. Everything happens for a reason, even if you don't understand it right now. Remember those times you prayed for something, but I didn't give it to you right away? Maybe you felt disappointed, even thought I wasn't listening. But think back. Haven't there been things you really wanted in the past? But looking back now, you see that if I'd given them to you then, it wouldn't have been good for you. I never keep good things from you, but I only give them at the best possible time. If you're waiting for something and haven't seen an answer yet, don't get discouraged. There are doors that haven't opened. Not because you don't deserve it, but because I'm building a stronger foundation for you. If I have something for you, no one can take it away. If I close a door, trust that it's not what you need. Life doesn't always go according to your plans, but it always goes according to mine. You can have dreams and desires, but let me guide you to exactly where you need to be. Don't try to control everything, because that'll just make you more anxious and tired. Learn to rest in my presence, because I know what you need before you even ask. Sometimes you feel like you're not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough, but listen, you don't have to be perfect to get my love. I don't love you for what you do, but because you're my child. The world might judge you by your success, status, talents, but I see you differently. I see the times you try, the times you fall but still get back up. I see the pain you hide, the tears you don't want anyone to see. And I want you to know you're not alone. I'm right here, right beside you, even when you can't feel me. Difficulties aren't there to break you, but to help you see the strength within you. Every time you face a challenge, you have two choices. Either let it drown you, or let it lift you up. I want you to choose the second way. Let your wounds become lessons. Let your losses help you appreciate what you have. Don't let the pain turn you into a bitter person, but let it make you a stronger, kinder, and more loving person. You might feel like you're walking a lonely road, but remember you're never truly alone. I'm always with you, even when you don't realize it. When you feel weak, lean on me. When you don't know what to do next, turn to me. I don't promise the road will always be easy, but I promise you'll never have to walk it alone. Trust in me, and you'll see that everything will work out for the best. Do you ever wonder why some days you feel lost? Like all your efforts are meaningless? Maybe you're looking for answers in temporary things, trying to fill the emptiness inside with things that don't really belong to you. But listen, your heart wasn't made to be filled with fleeting things. You weren't born to chase the world's illusions, but to find the real meaning of life in me. If you feel empty, it's not a sign of failure, but a reminder that you're looking for something bigger, something only I can give you. There are things in your life you'll never be able to explain right away. You'll meet people who come into your life and leave without explanation. You'll face sudden changes, unexpected events. You'll have moments where you feel like everything is against you. But listen, nothing happens without a reason. I don't do anything randomly, and your life isn't just a meaningless string of events. Every person you meet, every door that opens or closes, every joy or sorrow you experience, it all has a purpose. You might not understand it now, but someday when you look back, you'll see that everything was perfectly orchestrated. Maybe you're going through a time where you feel like you're being forgotten, like you're waiting for something that never comes. But remember that I'm never late. My timing isn't the same as yours. You might think things are happening too slowly, but really I'm preparing the best for you. A potter can't rush when he's shaping a piece. If he's hasty, the pot will be crooked, not perfect. Similarly, I'm shaping you, and I won't take you out of the kiln until it's the perfect time. Sometimes you feel like the world is too harsh, and people are too heartless. You trusted someone, and all you got was betrayal. You put your hope in something and watched it turn to ashes. You longed for someone to understand you, but all you felt was loneliness surrounding you. But listen, if you keep looking for perfection in people, you'll always be disappointed. Put your trust in me, because I never change. My love isn't something that comes and goes. It doesn't depend on mood or conditions. I love you even when you're at your weakest, even when you make mistakes. I don't love you because you're perfect, but I love you because you're you. Have you ever wondered why some doors close right when you think you're ready to walk through them? It's not because you're not good enough, but because I'm protecting you from things you can't see. A closed door doesn't mean the end, but sometimes it's preparation for another, better door. Don't look at what you've lost, but look at what I'm putting in front of you. When you lift your head, you'll see that I always have a bigger plan than you imagine. Don't let the fears inside you stop you from moving forward. Don't let the past keep you locked in darkness. Don't let the negative words of others define you. I didn't create you to live in fear, but to walk with courage. Remember, you're not alone. When you feel tired, come to me. When you feel like there's nothing left to hope for, let me be the light that guides you. Never think you've wandered so far that you can't come back. No matter where you go, I'm always waiting for you. Trust that everything you're going through will never be meaningless. Someday you'll understand that everything I've done has been for you. Do you know that every day you live is part of a bigger picture that you can't fully see? What you're going through isn't just random moments, but important pieces in my plan for you. Some days you feel happy, but other days you feel like everything is collapsing around you. That's because life isn't always easy, but it always has meaning. I don't promise you'll never face challenges, but I promise you'll never have to face them alone. Every difficulty you experience is an opportunity for you to become stronger, more mature, and closer to me. Have you ever wondered why some of your dreams never seem to come true? Maybe you've tried your best, poured your heart into it, but still haven't seen results. You feel like your prayers have been ignored. But listen, you don't know that sometimes I delay, not because I don't hear you, but because I'm waiting for the best time to bless you. A seed can't sprout right away when it's planted in the ground. It needs time to grow, to take root, to rise up. If you dig it up too soon, just because you're impatient to see results, you'll ruin its growth. Your life is the same way. Don't rush. Don't judge my plans just based on what you can see right now. Maybe you're feeling pressured by the standards the world sets for you. You look around and see others succeeding, see them have things you don't have. You wonder if you're going slower than them, if you're good enough or not. But listen, you weren't created to compare yourself to others. I don't measure your worth based on wealth, status, or external achievements. Your value isn't in what you own, but in who you are. Don't let your vision be obscured by fleeting things. If you only focus on what others have, you'll forget what I've already given you. Have you ever felt like you're lost in a sea of people? Like no one really understands you? You can be in the middle of a crowded room, but still feel alone. You can laugh and talk with everyone, but inside you feel empty. You can have all the things the world thinks are important, but still feel like you're missing something you can't name. That's because you weren't created to live only on material things or fleeting relationships. You were created to find real meaning in a deeper relationship with me. When you feel lost, remember you don't need to seek validation from the world. Turn to me, because only I really know who you are. Sometimes you think your past has ruined you, that your mistakes are too big to fix. You feel like you've gone too far to turn back. But listen, nothing is too late for me. I don't see you the way the world sees you. I don't count the times you stumble to condemn you, but I count the times you get up to give you strength. Each new day is an opportunity to start over, to get on the right track. Don't let the mistakes of the past stop you from moving forward. Don't let the words of others make you believe you're not worthy. I don't look at your past. I look at your heart, and I see a valuable person, a person I love unconditionally. Your life may not be easy, but remember you're not going it alone. Even when you go through the toughest times, I'm with you. Even when you feel like the whole world is turning its back on you, I won't abandon you. Even when you doubt, when you're weak, when you're afraid, I'm always holding your hand. Walk with trust, because you're not alone. Just keep going, because I'm leading you to a place better than you can imagine. Do you ever wonder what really brings you peace? Do you think that when every problem in your life is solved, you'll feel completely relieved? But that's not the reality, because when one problem ends, another one will appear. If you keep looking for peace in temporary things, you'll never truly have it. Peace doesn't come from the absence of difficulty, but from knowing that no matter how difficult things are, you won't be defeated. That's what I want you to understand. True peace isn't in the things you can control, but in trusting that I'm holding everything in my hands. When you're worried, you're trying to carry all the burdens on your shoulders. But you weren't created to carry it all. I don't want you to be exhausted. I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to put your faith in me, so I can lift you up when you feel too weak to continue. Do you realize that every day you live is a gift? There are days you wake up and feel tired, feel like there's nothing to look forward to. But listen, you're still breathing. Your heart is still beating, and that's proof that you still have a purpose. If I'm still giving you another day, that means I still have plans for you. Don't let the difficulties make you forget that. Don't let the fears make you forget the blessings that surround you every day. Have you ever stopped to think about the small things you usually take for granted, like the sunlight shining through the window, like the birds singing in the morning, like a gentle breeze passing by? Those things aren't random. They're reminders that you're living in a world full of wonder, that you're not forgotten. If you keep chasing big things and forget these small but precious things, you'll lose true joy. Life isn't just about achieving one goal after another, but also about learning to enjoy every moment. If you only wait for happiness to come from big things, you'll miss the miracles happening right before your eyes. Do you ever feel like you're not good enough, that you don't have enough talent, enough strength, enough courage? But I want you to know that you were wonderfully made, lacking nothing. You don't have to be like anyone else. You don't have to prove your worth by comparing yourself to others. You just need to live the way I created you to be. Each person has their own path, their own journey, and you can't walk someone else's path and expect to find your own meaning. Focus on your journey. Believe that I've given you enough of what you need to complete your mission. I know there are times you feel unfairness, when you try to do good but encounter unwanted things. You might wonder why dishonest people seem more successful, why those who do wrong benefit, why you have to suffer losses. But listen, you don't have to worry about that. The world might have its own rules, but I have my own laws. I don't ignore anything. I don't let injustice last forever. If you're faithful, if you continue to walk in the light, you'll see your reward, and it will be greater than anything the world can give you. Do you realize that you have more power than you think? Sometimes you look at the challenge before you and feel it's too big, but you don't realize that you can also become stronger. I don't put those things in your way to make you fall, but so you can discover the strength I've put in you. That strength doesn't come from the world, doesn't come from what you have, but comes from you, from your belief, from your perseverance, from your ability to get back up after every fall. Remember, you're not just an ordinary person drifting with the flow of life. You're an important part of my plan. Every choice you make, every action you take has meaning. Don't think that what you do is meaningless. Don't think you have no influence. Even if it's just a small thing, with sincerity, it can still make a bigger difference than you imagine. I know that there are days you want to give up, days when everything seems to be against you. When you feel like there's no motivation to continue, remember you weren't created to give up. You were created to overcome, to grow, to be stronger. When you feel like you can't go on, remember that I'm with you. You're not going it alone. You're not fighting alone. I'm always here, holding you, lifting you up, guiding you. Even if you can't see it clearly, I'm still working in your life, opening up paths you never thought of. So listen, keep walking. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let the past hold you. Don't let negative words make you doubt yourself. Remember, you were created with a great purpose, and nothing can change that. Believe, have hope, keep going, because something good is waiting for you ahead. Do you ever realize that every moment in your life carries a deeper meaning than what the naked eye can see? Do you ever wonder why you are here at this very moment, with these people and these challenges? Nothing in your life is random. Every experience, every joy, every sorrow, every opportunity or difficulty is part of a larger picture that you can't fully see. You are on a journey planned in advance, where every step you take, every decision you make affects the entire story of your life. Do you know that every time you face a challenge, it is not a punishment, but an opportunity for you to grow, for you to learn to be stronger, for you to discover things you never realized about yourself? Sometimes you feel like you are being pushed into a storm that you cannot control, but what you cannot see is that in the middle of that storm, there's a strength being formed in you. You don't know how strong you are until you have to stand firm in the midst of strong winds. You don't know how persistent you are until you have to keep walking even when your feet are tired. I do not promise that your path will be easy, but I promise that you will not walk alone. Do you realize that the dreams in your heart are not accidental? The longings, the desires, the things that make your heart flutter are not just fleeting thoughts. They are hints about the path you were born to take. But you will never touch that dream if you let fear stop you. How many times have you stepped back just because you weren't sure about the future? How many times have you let the negative words of others make you doubt yourself? You were not created to live an ordinary life. You were not created to accept less than what you can achieve. I have placed special gifts in you, and I want you to use them to glorify your life. There are times when you feel like you are stuck, like you're going around in circles without knowing the way out. You may feel like every door is closing in front of you, like all your efforts are in vain. But listen, what you see is not the whole truth. There are doors opening that you have not yet seen. There are paths forming even when you think you have no way out. Don't judge your future based only on what you are seeing in the present. Don't let temporary difficulties make you think that you will be stuck forever. Everything has its time, and maybe right now you don't see the light, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Do you realize that true love is not just an emotion, but a choice? A choice to continue loving even when you are hurt. A choice to forgive even when you don't want to. A choice to open your heart even when you have been betrayed. The love you are looking for is not in external things, is not in superficial relationships. It lies in the deep connection between souls, in understanding, in sacrifice, in patience. If you want to receive true love, you must also learn to give true love. If you want someone else to understand and appreciate you, you must also learn to understand and appreciate others. Have you ever wondered why some people come into your life and then leave? Why are there people you love, but they don't stay? Why are there relationships that seemed solid, but then broke down? Sometimes you feel like you're being abandoned, like you're not good enough, like you're not worthy of being loved. But listen, not everyone is destined to go with you throughout the journey. Some people just come to teach you a lesson, to help you understand more about yourself, and then they will leave. Some people are just part of a chapter in your life, but not the whole story. You cannot hold on to the past, because I have other plans for you, other people for you. There are things in life that you will never understand immediately. There are questions that you will not have answers to right now. But that doesn't mean you have to give up hope. Don't demand to understand everything before you can walk. Don't wait for everything to be perfect before you start. There are things that can only be understood when you have gone through them. There are lessons that can only be learned after you have lived with them. The important thing is not that you know everything, but that you are willing to walk even when you don't know everything. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you let go of fear? If you stop worrying about what could go wrong and start focusing on what could be right? If you stop letting the past control your future? If you stop listening to negative voices and start listening to your own heart? You are stronger than you think. You are braver than you know. You can do more than you ever imagined. Don't let anything hold you back. Don't let the world tell you that you can't, because I created you so that you can. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stopped running away from yourself? If you stop pretending that everything is okay, while deep down inside you know there are gaps that have never been filled? Sometimes you're so busy that you no longer have time to listen to your own heart. You throw yourself into work. You seek recognition from others. You try to appear strong. But in the quietest moments, when no one is watching, you still feel empty. I see that. I see the times you smile at the world but cry when you're alone. I see the dreams you once had, but now have faded into the past because you think they are too far away. I see how you try to endure, how you tell yourself that you are okay, while deep down inside you know you are not okay at all. But listen, you don't have to keep pretending anymore. You don't need to prove to the world that you are strong enough, because I don't love you for what you can do, but for who you are. Have you ever wondered why some wounds still hurt, even though they happened a long time ago? There are memories you think you have forgotten, but just a word, a picture, a scent can bring you back to those old feelings. The hurts of the past do not just disappear over time. You can learn to bury them. You can tell yourself that they no longer affect you. But if you have not truly faced and healed them, they will still be there, silently shaping how you see life, how you love, how you trust. Sometimes you wonder why you are afraid to open up, why you find it difficult to trust someone, why you feel insecure even when there is no clear reason. That is because the unhealed wounds in you are still talking to you, still reminding you of the pain that you have not been able to let go of. But you don't have to carry them forever. I don't want you to live your whole life in pain. I want you to be free. I want you to walk without being bound by what is past. Have you ever thought about the true meaning of forgiveness? Forgiveness does not mean that you accept what happened. It does not mean that you say that what others have done to you is right. Forgiveness is simply giving up the right to hold on to the pain. It is choosing to free yourself from the burden of bitterness. Because every time you hold on to anger, every time you embrace hurt, You are allowing the people who have hurt you to continue to control your life. They may no longer be there, but their actions can still affect you if you refuse to let go. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to others. It is a gift you give to yourself. It is the door that leads you to the peace you are looking for. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stopped comparing yourself to others? If you stopped looking at their lives and wondering why you don't have the things they have? I created you to be yourself, not a copy of anyone else. Everyone has their own path, their own purpose, their own story. There are things I have for you that I don't have for others, just as there are things I have for them that I don't have for you. When you compare, you're judging your life based on someone else's standards, and that is a burden that you don't need to carry. Instead of looking at what you don't have, focus on what you have been given. Instead of wishing you had someone else's life, learn to appreciate the life you have been given. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stopped seeking validation from others? If you stopped trying to please everyone, stop being afraid of what they will think of you? You will never please everyone, and you don't need to. Sometimes you are afraid that if you live true to yourself, you will be rejected, misunderstood, judged. But listen, if you keep living according to the expectations of others, you will lose yourself. I don't want you to become a person that the world wants you to be. I want you to become the person that I created. A free person, a person living with passion, a person who dares to stand up for what is right, even if it is not supported by the world. Have you ever thought that every day you wake up is a gift? That every breath you take is not something obvious? How many times have you rushed to follow plans, goals, expectations, and forgotten to enjoy this moment? How many times have you worried about tomorrow and missed the beautiful things happening right before your eyes? Don't let life pass by in a hurry. Don't let the pressures of the world make you forget that you are living right now. Stop, breathe, feel. Learn to be grateful for even the smallest things, because it is in those small things that you will find true joy. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you started believing in yourself? If you dare to pursue what you have always wanted to do but never dared to? If you no longer let fear stop you from moving forward? I have placed in you abilities, talents, dreams not for them to be forgotten, but for them to be realized. You don't need to wait for the perfect time, because the perfect time never comes. What you need to do is trust, is walk even when you don't see the road ahead, because I am there leading you. Have you ever wondered why on some days you feel exhausted, even though you don't do anything too strenuous? Why your mind is always tense, even when you try to relax? That's because you're carrying too many burdens that don't belong to you. Worries about tomorrow, fears about the future, unhealed wounds. All of that adds up and creates an invisible pressure that weighs you down. Every day, you just try to endure, thinking you have to be strong, have to handle everything on your own. But you forget that I didn't create you to live like that. You're not a machine. You don't have to prove your worth by exhausting yourself. I want you to live a life full of life, not just a weary existence. Do you know that peace doesn't come from controlling everything, from having all the answers, or from having a perfect plan? True peace comes when you learn to let go. When you understand that there are things beyond your control, and you don't have to control them. When you accept that you won't always understand why things happen, but you can still walk forward with faith. I've seen you torment yourself countless times over things you can't control, worrying about things that haven't even happened, blaming yourself for things that are in the past. But listen, you can't change the past, and you can't predict the future. The only thing you can do is live this moment fully, with trust. Have you ever considered that some things that seem like losses are actually protection? Sometimes you're hurting because a door closed, because someone left, because an opportunity slipped away. But if you look back, you'll realize that some things you thought were good for you actually weren't. Some paths seemed right, but if you had continued down them, you would have been hurt even more. How many times have I kept you from things that weren't meant for you, but you didn't realize it? How many times have I held you back when you wanted to chase after something that wasn't truly for you? If you understood that not every loss is a bad thing, you'd learn to accept and move forward with a lighter heart. Do you know that you don't have to prove your worth to anyone? The world might judge you by your achievements, by what you have. by the praise of others, but I don't see you that way. I see you even when no one else does. I know you even when you feel forgotten. I love you not for what you do, but for who you are. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to strive for recognition, because you already have value from the moment you were created. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stopped and really listened, not just with your ears, but with your whole heart? If you took the time to understand yourself, to recognize what's truly important in life? Sometimes you're too busy with the noise of the world, too busy chasing fleeting things, that you forget what really brings meaning. If you stopped, you'd realize that some of the things you're pursuing don't bring you true happiness. You'd see that some simple things bring greater joy than extravagant ones. You'd understand that peace isn't found in external things, but within yourself. Do you know that even your mistakes can't change my love for you? Maybe you feel unworthy. Maybe you think you've gone too far, that you've made too many mistakes to come back. But listen, no mistake is too big to escape my love. There's no fault I can't forgive. I don't see you the way you see yourself. When you see yourself falling, I see an opportunity for you to learn to get back up. When you see yourself failing, I see a lesson that can help you grow. When you see yourself as not good enough, I see someone on the journey to becoming who I intended you to be. Have you ever considered that the challenges you're facing aren't random? That every difficulty you encounter has a meaning? Sometimes you wonder why life is so hard, why you have to go through painful periods. But you don't realize that those very challenges are shaping you, teaching you lessons you couldn't learn any other way. A seed has to be buried in darkness before it can sprout. A pearl is formed through the pain inside the oyster. A piece of iron only becomes sharp after it's been through fire. And so it is with you. You're being forged to become stronger, wiser, and ready for greater things ahead. Have you ever thought that just because some things you're hoping for don't come immediately, it doesn't mean I haven't heard you? Some prayers you've offered haven't been answered the way you wanted, but that doesn't mean I don't care. Maybe you haven't seen results, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Maybe you think I'm silent, but I'm actually working in ways you can't see. I know the right timing. I know what's best for you. If you're patient, if you trust, you'll see that everything will happen at the right time, in the right way, according to a plan more perfect than you can imagine. Do you know that I'm always here, even when you can't feel it? There might be times when you feel alone, times when you think I've left you, but listen, I've never gone anywhere. I'm still here, still caring, still watching over every step you take. Even when you feel lost, I'm still leading the way. Even when you feel like no one understands you, I still understand. Even when you feel like you're not worthy of love, I still love you with a love that never changes. So, stop for a moment. Breathe, let go, trust. Let me heal your wounds. Let me bring you the peace you're seeking. You don't have to walk alone. You don't have to carry all the burdens yourself. Come to me. Let me embrace you, and you'll see that no pain is meaningless, no challenge is insurmountable, and no path is lonely when you walk with me. Have you ever wondered why there are days when you feel lost even though you have everything around you? Why you can be in the middle of a crowd and still feel alone? Because there are gaps in your soul that the world can't fill. You can seek recognition from others, but you'll realize that no one can understand you completely. You can pursue success, but when you achieve it, you still feel empty. You can have everything you've ever wanted, but still not enough. Have you ever stopped to ask why? Because you weren't created to live only with temporary things. Your soul longs for something bigger, a deeper connection, a meaning beyond what the eye can see. You can try to keep yourself busy to forget that feeling, but it's still there, quietly reminding you that there's something you still haven't found. How many times have you sought comfort in things that can't bring lasting peace? You think that if you achieve something, if you change your circumstances, if you have someone by your side, you'll feel happier. But then you realize that those things are only temporary. Your joy depends on things that easily change. A compliment can make you happy, but criticism can hurt you. Success can make you proud, but failure can make you doubt yourself. You put your worth in things that are not sustainable, and that's why you always feel insecure. Have you ever thought that true happiness doesn't come from what you have, but from what you understand about yourself? when you stop comparing yourself to others, when you stop seeking approval from the world, when you realize that you don't have to become someone else to be loved. You don't always have to be strong. You don't have to hide your wounds. You don't have to try to please everyone. The world may teach you that you have to achieve this. You have to get that, to be worthy. But that's a lie. You have been valuable since the moment you were created, not because of what you do, not because of what you own, but because of who you are. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. Have you ever wondered why some things you want never come? Why some doors never open? Why some dreams you hope for fade away? Maybe you think you've been forgotten, that I'm not listening to you. But do you know? Sometimes the things you want don't come not because I don't hear you, but because I have something better for you. There are things you think are good for you, but are not actually. You can't see the whole picture, but I can. How many times have you been hurt by losing something, but later you realized that it was actually a liberation? How many times have you wanted something so much that you didn't realize that if it happened, it could hurt you more than it could make you happy? I don't withhold anything good from you. If something doesn't come to you, believe that it's not for you, or not yet. You may think you know what's best for yourself, but do you really know? Have you ever looked back and seen that there are things you once longed for, but now you are grateful that they did not happen? Have you ever realized that there are things you did not expect that have become the greatest blessings in your life? Do you know that there are seasons in life when you have to walk through darkness? Stages when you have to walk without seeing the light ahead? You may wonder why things have become so difficult, why you have to go through these trials. But listen, darkness is not a sign of abandonment. Darkness is where I shape you, where I do things that can't be seen immediately. A seed must be buried in the ground before it can sprout. The potter must put the vase in the kiln before it becomes perfect. The blacksmith must put the iron through the fire before it becomes a sharp weapon. And so do you. The challenges do not come to destroy you, but to prepare you for something greater. When you go through darkness, you learn lessons that you cannot learn otherwise. You become stronger, wiser, more patient. Maybe you're feeling like you're lost, like you don't know where you're going, but listen, even if you don't see the road, that doesn't mean there isn't a road. Even if you don't feel my presence, that doesn't mean I'm not there. You are not walking alone. You're not abandoned. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stopped and really trusted? If you stopped trying to control everything? If you learned to let go and let me lead the way? Do you know that when you try to control everything, you only make yourself more tired? But when you let go, when you put everything in my hands, you will feel lighter. You don't have to fight alone. You don't have to carry everything yourself. You don't need to know all the answers, nor do you need to have everything in your hands. All you need to do is trust. All you need to do is keep walking even if you don't see the road. All you need to do is know that nothing you go through is meaningless, that every challenge has a purpose, that every tear you shed is not wasted. Believe that I am working even when you don't see it. Believe that nothing happens by accident. Believe that you are not lost. You are just in the process of being shaped, and one day when you look back, you will understand that everything you have been through has a reason. You will see that you have grown in ways you cannot imagine. You will see that everything has really been arranged perfectly, and you will know that even if you do not understand everything, you can still trust because I have never left you. Do you know that some things that happen in your life are not coincidences, but are part of the plan that I have set up in advance? There are encounters, there are opportunities, there are changes that you do not foresee, but all have a reason. Maybe you think that a closed door is a sign of failure. But do you know that that door is closed to protect you from a path that is not for you? Maybe you are regretting what has been lost, but if you can see the whole picture, you will understand that what you lost is only a small part of the larger plan that I am implementing. Have you ever noticed that there are people who enter your life for only a short time, but leave indelible marks? Maybe they come to help you learn a lesson, to teach you something important, or simply to help you through a difficult period, and then they leave. You may be sad, you may feel empty, but do you know? Not everyone is sent to stay forever. Some people come only to help you through a chapter in life, and then they must continue their own journey. The important thing is what you have learned from them, and whether you can continue to move forward with what you have received. Maybe you have prayed for something, but have not seen that prayer answered until now. You wonder if I have forgotten you? But listen, I never forget you. Not a single prayer of yours is ignored. Every tear you shed is remembered. But remember that there are things I withhold not because I don't want to give you, but because the time has not come. If you receive something too early, maybe you are not ready to receive it. If you step into a door too quickly, maybe you are not prepared enough to hold on to what is inside. Have you ever wondered why sometimes I put you in situations that make you wait, why you can't have what you want right away? Because in waiting, I teach you patience, teaching you to appreciate what you will receive. A child, if given everything immediately, he will never understand the value of what he has. But when you learn to be patient, when you learn to trust, you will grow in a way that you yourself do not expect. Maybe you are in a stage where everything does not seem to be going the way you want. You feel stuck, feeling as if you are going around without finding a way out. But listen, do not be discouraged. Every process has its time. A sprout must lie in the ground for a while before it can sprout on the ground. A worm must go through the cocoon before it can turn into a butterfly. There are seasons when you have to be silent, have to hide, have to wait, but that does not mean you're being forgotten. That is just a part of the transformation process that you need to go through. Have you ever noticed that the best things in life often come from the smallest things? A smile, a word of encouragement, a moment of peace in your soul. All those things can change your whole day. You don't have to wait for big things to feel happy. Happiness is not a distant destination, but the moments that you learn to cherish in every day. Do you know that some things that seem like disadvantages are a gift in disguise? How many times have you been disappointed because something did not happen the way you wanted, but later you realized that it helped you avoid a bigger mistake? There are storms that do not come to destroy you, but to sweep away what is no longer suitable for you. There are losses that are not a punishment, but a way to free you from what is holding you back. There are times when you feel tired, want to give up, want to stop, but listen. Look back and see how far you have come. Remember the times you thought you could not get through, but you are still standing here, still continuing to walk. If you can overcome the challenges in the past, why do you doubt that you cannot overcome what is in front? Remember that nothing is meaningless every day you live. Everything you experience has a purpose. None of your pain is in vain. None of your challenges are without reason. And one day you will look back and understand that everything has happened in the best way for you. You just need to trust, keep walking, and know that I am always with you even if you don't realize it. Have you ever thought about the things you have never dared to dream of, but I want to give you? There are blessings that you have never asked for, but I have already arranged, waiting for the right time to put in your hand. There are doors that you never thought would open, but I have prepared the key. You just need to be patient, walk according to my guidance, even if you do not see the road ahead. I not only give you what you want, but also give you what you need. Sometimes you think you need something, but it is not good for you. I see the dangers that you do not see. I know the hidden things that you cannot understand. That is why there are things you expect, but do not come. There are things you desire, but do not come true. You may not understand right now, but one day you will realize that everything I do has a reason. I do not promise that your journey will be easy, but I promise that you will never have to go alone. There will be roads full of thorns, but I will be the light to guide the way. There will be times when you feel lost, but I'm still right there, holding your hand. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to have faith. Just keep walking even if you don't know where the next step will lead you, because I have gone before you. I have arranged everything. There are times when you feel left behind, when you see others succeed while you're still standing still. You wonder why the good things come to them and not to you. But listen, your journey is not the same as anyone else. You're not left behind. You're just being prepared. Some things need time to grow. Some things need to be built on a solid foundation before they can last. Don't compare yourself to others because you were not created to be a copy of anyone. There are times when you feel overwhelmed, as if every burden on your shoulders is too much to bear. You wonder why life is so difficult, why you have to face so many challenges. But listen, don't forget that what you are enduring today will help you become stronger tomorrow. A piece of iron must go through fire to become a sharp sword. A gemstone must withstand great pressure to be able to shine, and so do you. You are being forged to become the best version of yourself. Have you ever realized that sometimes the storms in your life are exactly what is needed to change your direction? There are times when you think you're going the right way, but I have to send an event for you to stop and look back. Sometimes you have to lose something to be able to receive something better. Don't be afraid of change, because I never take away anything without intending to give you something greater. Have you ever wondered why there are people who enter your life only to hurt you? Why there are relationships that break down? There are people you trust who leave you. Listen, not everyone is sent to walk with you to the end of the journey. Some people are just part of the stage. They come to teach you a lesson, to help you grow, to help you realize your own value. Don't be sad about what has passed, but be grateful for what you have learned from them. Maybe you are in a season of silence, when you don't hear answers, when you feel as if your prayers are not being answered. But listen, I am not silent to abandon you, but to let you learn to listen in a different way. Sometimes I don't answer immediately, because you need to learn to trust without seeing. Sometimes I let you go through the desert, not to let you wither, but to let you know that I am the source of water that never runs dry. I want you to know that you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not abandoned. No matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, you are always in my plan. Nothing happens without meaning. Everything you experience is contributing to the larger story that I am writing for you. Keep walking, keep trusting, because what I have prepared for you is greater than what you can imagine. Do you know that there are miracles that happen right in the moments you least expect? Sometimes in the times when you are tired, in the times when you are desperate, in the times when you feel like there is nothing to cling to, is when I am secretly doing something bigger than anything you can imagine. You can't see it right away, but every step you take has been carefully arranged by me. Not a single detail in your life is random. Not a single moment is wasted. Have you ever felt like you were going to dead end? Your plans seem to fall apart. The dreams you pursue suddenly become dust. You think you have failed, that you have gone the wrong way. But listen, what you think is a dead end is actually the turning point that I have prepared for you. Sometimes I don't let you continue to go the way you want, because that way will not take you where you need to go. Maybe you don't understand right now, but one day you will come back and see that everything has a reason for it. There are things that I have prepared for you, but I cannot give you when you are not ready. A child cannot control a large boat if he does not know how to row a small boat. A person who does not know how to cherish small things will not be able to keep big things. That is why there are things you desire but do not come to you. Not because I do not want to give you, but because I want you to be fully prepared to be able to receive them in the most complete way. Do you know that there are things I am protecting you from that you do not even know? There are dangers that I have prevented before they could touch you. There are mistakes that I have helped you avoid that you have not realized. You may feel disappointed when a door closes, but I want you to know that when I close that door, it is because I am protecting you or preparing a better door for you. Don't let temporary disappointments cause you to lose faith in me. Have you ever had dreams, but then gave up? There are things you once longed for, but when you encountered difficulties, you thought they were not for you. Listen, I don't put a dream in your heart if I don't intend to help you complete it. But you must understand that all great things need time, need patience, need persistence. Seeds cannot grow into trees in just one day. The best things always come to those who do not give up. Maybe you are in a stage where you don't see any changes, don't see any progress. You feel like everything is still standing still, as if all your efforts are not yielding any results. But listen, don't let this silence fool you. The tree does not flower immediately after sowing the seeds, but that does not mean it is not growing. Its roots are digging deep into the ground, preparing to be able to support a solid tree. You too, what you are doing is not in vain. Don't be discouraged just because you don't see results right away. Do you know that I don't just want you to exist, but I want you to live a life full of meaning? I don't want you to just go through the days in an aimless way, without purpose, without passion. I created you with a mission, with a special purpose that no one else can replace. You were not born just to live an ordinary life, but to make a difference. You don't need to be like anyone else because you have been made in a special way with talents and abilities that no one else has. Maybe you have heard criticism, words that make you doubt yourself. Maybe you have been hurt by the words of others, words that make you feel that you're not good enough, not strong enough, not talented enough. But listen, don't let those words define you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not what others say about you. You are what I have created. You are a perfect work of mine, and nothing can change that. I want you to know that nothing is too late for me. No dream is too far away. No mistake is too big. No road is impossible for me to open. No matter how far you have gone, no matter how long you have been lost, you can still come back. I never close the door on you. Just be ready to return. Just be ready to trust. I will always be here, ready to take your hand and lead you forward. Maybe you feel that you are not worthy, that you have made too many mistakes, that you no longer have hope. But listen, I don't see you the way the world sees you. I don't demand perfection from you. I just need a willing heart. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to have all the strength. You just need to be ready to walk with me. For I have, am, and will always be the one who goes with you, takes you, guides you, and never abandons you. Amen.